Hello and welcome to another episode of Weekly Waypoint, the show where I talk about my week and the things that interest me. And you know what interests me? Overwatch 2 interests me. We're going to be talking about that a fair bit today. Before we get started, I want to talk about the gameplay pretty damn quickly. This is a fairly long 3-round game. I played like absolute shit as Roadhog in this game, which is, well, it's damn embarrassing because Roadhog is the hero I put the most amount of hours into. He's my boy. So we are going to speed up through this first round because halfway through the second round I swapped to Winston and I only have 2 hours in Winston overall, but I kicked ass as Winston. I mean, watching it back, there's definitely some improvements that could have been made, and I will try to keep those in mind for next time. There were some bad barrier placements, there were some times when I could have been more aggressive harassing the healers, but yeah, just to give you the... Also, the spectator mode's weird. We're stuck on red team, so I know that blue normally means friendlies, but just remember, blue team bad, red team good. But yeah, okay, broad strokes. Overwatch 2 is out. How do I feel about it? I feel conflicted, and that is after playing a whole bunch of it. So, if you have never played Overwatch before, it's probably a good way to get started. But if you have had like a mild interest in Overwatch before, you've played it a little bit, and you're excited to see what a sequel can do to change it, don't expect a sequel. Expect Overwatch 2.0, because that's what this is. This is just a major patch. And it's a good patch. It's shaken up the meta of the game. It's 5 heroes versus 5 instead of 6v6. Tanks are more brawly. It's 1 tank now instead of 2 tanks. We've got 3 new heroes, you know, all that wonderful stuff. The game feels great, and by the way, I am playing it on console for the first time. You might have known I used to make videos called Overwatch Shenanigans. They will be continuing, but if you go back and watch those, you can see massive lag spikes when I was playing Overwatch 1. Overwatch 2, it's free to play, it's available everywhere. I figured, why not do the account merge stuff and play on Xbox instead? So that's another reason why I'm a little bit rusty with the old hog. Also, one last thing I did mean to say at the start of the video as well. I think the replays make the aiming look more analog, for want of a better term, than it is. More stiff than it is, because this is a server-side recording of a match that's been saved. It's not going to count every little tiny little thing. I've had this in other game replay modes as well. It's not going to count every tiny little nuance of a stick aiming. But yeah, so we got a few things to talk about here. I guess while I'm talking about playing it on console, I will mention I was worried that I wouldn't be able to play some of my favourite heroes, like Cassidy. Cassidy's my favourite DPS hero. I was like, well, he's very accuracy based. So how is that going to fare on a controller? Turns out, pretty decent. I'm definitely not as accurate, obviously, especially when you go up against a PC pool of players. I don't know if anything actually changes gameplay wise in terms of toning down aim assist, or if it's all in my head, but it feels like it's a little bit harder to aim against PC players, or maybe they just have the advantage of mouse and keyboard over me and so I die quicker, who knows. But I will say I've had good games as Cassidy and as Anna, who I like for healing as well, so it's playable on console, it's fine. I could try and get it running on my PC. I do have it installed, but I just know it's gonna not look as good as this. And this isn't the best looking version, by the way. This is on a balanced graphics mode, so I can get 60 frames a second. You might notice the anti-aliasing isn't as good as it could be. I could have it on 30 frames a second and have it look perfect, but I mean, 60 frames is where it's at. Performance gang rise up, but yeah, I could crank the settings down. That's not how you use the word crank. I could crank the settings down on PC and play there as well. I do intend to try that out at some point because, like I say, it's a little bit more difficult aiming as Cassidy and all that. But I don't feel like my performance has been hampered, if you know what I mean, on console. So there's that. It feels fine. But getting back to Overwatch 2, man, it's not a sequel. It is not a sequel, but it is a resurrection of a game, of a dead game. It was pretty dead, let's be fair. It hadn't received updates in a while. I think Blizzard really dropped the ball on how they handled making the sequel and abandoning the previous game, and it probably took longer to get this out than they wanted to, as we can probably see by the fact that they They say campaigns delayed while they have multiplayer out early. I think it's more just the fact that they needed to get something out, so they pushed the multiplayer out early because, let's face it, not a huge amount of changes here. But Overwatch is alive again, and that's enough to get me playing again. I have bought the Battle Pass. I was going to publish a video on this channel, which is me reacting to the monetization. Let's say it wasn't a happy video. It was a lot of me sighing and shaking my head, but I am going to be playing a lot of Overwatch 2. I'm not terribly impressed by the Battle Pass, but there's some stuff in there that I find cool. While obviously loot boxes should have been gotten rid of a lot sooner, or never put in the first place, depending on who you ask. I mean, Overwatch basically popularized loot boxes, right? There's upsides and downsides to both systems. In terms of spending money to get skins you want, this is obviously better because you can actually target what you want to get and get it and not spend as much money trying to get it. But in terms of just earning stuff as you level up and getting things like various like rare skins and voice lines and sprays and stuff, there's 80 levels to the Battle Pass, and there's, I don't know how many heroes there are, but it is not enough levels and not enough stuff in there to give players new things. Like, you look at the new heroes and you look at their skins, and what is it? I've forgotten her bloody name. Kiriko. Kiriko's the new hero, right, for this season, because they basically introduced what's her face, Drunker Queen, in the beta, so they're kind of like Kiriko's the new hero, even though we've got 3 new ones. The way it works is you get Kiriko at level 1 in the Battle Pass if you buy her, or level 55 if you don't. And you get 1 Kiriko skin in the Battle Pass. That's it. You get 1 skin. And it used to be when heroes came out, you know, they would come with 4 rare skin variants of different colours, a couple of epics and a couple of legendaries, and obviously there would be a chance of getting those in loot boxes, and that meant fairly quickly there was a varied amount of that hero running around in the game. But now it's just going to be like everyone has the 1 skin that they got in the Battle Pass. It's so much less varied, unless you happen to check the shop every day and are willing to spend more than the price of a Battle Pass in most cases for a single skin and a voice line and a spray and maybe an emote. And it's just, it doesn't do it for me. I think that is a massive downgrade in terms of quantity, and also, like, you've got to take into account that you could earn loot boxes at a fairly quick rate as well. So while I actually did buy some loot boxes while events were on, for the most part I didn't, and I got tons of cool skins through that. This way, there is no free way of earning these skins by chance. And there's a whole different argument about what's more or less predatory in terms of monetization side of that. But in terms of what's good for the cosmetic health of the game, if that makes sense, I think this is a massive downgrade. So yeah, to summarize my thoughts on Overwatch 2, because we are already halfway through the video, I think it's great and it's also rubbish. Like, I could talk all day about this. There's plenty of other things to talk about, but I think it is both an upgrade and a downgrade. And most of the skins in the Battle Pass are naff as well. In other news, I'm not much of a horror guy, but I've kind of been bit by the horror bug, potentially because it's spooky month. I talked a bit about this last week, but I want to play spooky games and stream them. I want to watch spooky movies and maybe even spooky series. I'm considering giving The Haunting of Hill House a try. I'm really not much of a horror movie guy, as much as that may shock some people because they know I'm into darkness, for want of a less edgy term. One non-horror movie, at least I would be surprised to find it was a horror movie if this was the case, that I do want to watch is Nightmare Before Christmas, because yes, you probably just gasped, no, I have not watched Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm really not a movie guy. I don't watch many movies because my attention span sucks. I mean, when I do watch a movie, I get into it. I don't sit on my phone all the time like most people probably. I'm not like most people, okay? I don't do the phone thing, okay? I'm cooler than that. But it's more actually finding the motivation to go and start watching an entire movie. But I feel like I want to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. I want to watch some spooky movies. I wish there was a way on Netflix, because I know Disney Plus has this, right? Where you can like have multiple accounts, or not multiple accounts, but multiple users on the same account watch at the same time and synchronize the playback button. Why don't more streaming services do that? I would kill for that on Netflix or somewhere else, because I don't get to meet up with my friends in person very often. We normally talk over the internet, so it'd be great to be able to do it for that. But yeah, if you have any spooky film suggestions, I just got given a whole load via the Grinding Geek podcast, which I listen to every week. They mentioned The Mist, which sounds pretty spooky. They mentioned a whole lot which have already left my mind, but I'm going to go and have a look at some point soon. One game I'm considering playing and live streaming, which I did not talk about last week because it had not entered my brain yet, is Dead Space, because there is a Dead Space remake coming out, and because you know, like the shenanigans videos I make, the adventures in videos I make, that kind of video. Well, the very first one of those I ever made on this channel was called, well, I forget what it was called, but it was basically a Halloween video set in Dead Space. And you can go back and watch it if you like. The edits aren't as quick cut, like I was still finding my footing. I didn't exactly know what I was doing in Vegas Pro at the time. But those are all probably just creator self-criticisms. It was pretty fun. I just went to move my mouse to make the screen less faded, sorry. That's gonna get stuck in the recording. But yeah, it's been a few years since that video now, and I reckon it would be more fun to live stream stuff like this. Well, I say more fun, it would be easier in terms of having a video to edit and get out by Halloween. It would be nice to be able to play the thing on Halloween as well, instead of before, or have a video come out after. Last year, 53 weeks more than that. 51? I always forget if it's 52 weeks or 54. I think it's 52. Anyway, last year I tried to record a spooky Halloween video in a game called Little Nightmares, but I ended up not putting that video together because it wasn't spooky enough. It was spooky, but there were only like a couple of spooky moments, and it was mostly puzzle solving, and while the game was kind of fun to dip my head into, it wasn't exactly the spookiest Halloween video it could have been. So another reason why I'd rather live stream it is because then, you know, it wasn't exactly bad content. So instead of having to evaluate if it's worth my time turning it into a video, I get to be like, well, it's already out there. By the way, over on the livestream channel, I have changed up my thumbnail template. It is no longer what it is for this channel, because this channel, I like to try and take a screen grab of a particular point in a game that might look interesting, funny, or clickable, and then put it against some text saying what the video is, what number episode it is, all that kind of stuff. That usually takes about, well, I've never timed myself, but I would imagine between 10 and 20 minutes to sort out. And when you live stream on YouTube, you get to set the thumbnail before you go live, so it shows up as the thumbnail while the stream is live, which is pretty cool in my opinion, in people's subscription boxes. But the problem with that is, when I want to go live in something, it's usually very impulse driven, so I want a quicker thumbnail to put together. So I've got a new thumbnail template. I probably shouldn't spend this long talking about it. It's not exactly thrilling. You can go and see it. It's not revolutionary. But basically, it's just neat. It's just it's mostly text driven, which is probably a stupid thing to do in today's algorithm, but I think it looks neat, damn it. I get a picture of the game in the back. I get a color grey block, slightly translucent in the front, to make it look smart. Anyone who's actually seen this effect knows what I'm talking about. It looks smart. And then I wham the text on top and colour it different based on the kind of video or stream it is. Is it going to be a let's chill out in a game stream? Is it going to be a let's check out this game I haven't played stream? Is it going to be a let's play stream? That kind of thing. And also, regarding let's plays, I'm going to try and stream more akin to the way I actually play games, which is, we're probably not going to finish most let's plays, but in the interest of actually playing games on streams instead of being like, oh, I can't stream this because I'm already streaming that, I'm just gonna have like probably like loads of like 3 or 4 part let's plays that like I start up and then abandon. Not the best for viewership, but good for me creating the content. And after all, isn't that what this is all about? Me? No, I joke. Basically, I'm still experimenting with live streams because I don't get to stream that often because I have so much else going on in terms of hobbies and work and free time and life. That's the way it is, isn't it? Some of my friends are having babies. I'm having a 3rd concurrent battle pass That's life. If you're wondering where the comic talk is for this episode, which we've been doing pretty much every week for the last few months, you will find it in its own video now. I have a video called Thoughts on the New 52 Justice League, because that is what I read this last week and a half or so. So if you're interested to hear my thoughts on that comic run, go click the video and have a listen. I am now reading Action Comics and Superman, the New 52 run, once again, because then, with those both in the back of my mind, I can go and read DC Rebirth and see what that's all about. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please excuse my less than stellar Roadhog plays near the beginning of it. Let me know if you want more Overwatch 2 content. I mean, nobody ever does. But you do have that power to leave a comment and say, hey, I preferred it when you played Halo. Remember when you played Halo? Now you're just a washed up Overwatch 2 video game YouTuber. Ugh, no, but seriously, please don't be mean to me. I'll cry.